When history speaks of women, too often it speaks first of beauty, charm, or grace. It is the shape of the face, the softness of the voice, the elegance of movement. Yet the Stoic philosophers would remind us that such qualities, though pleasing to the eye, are as fleeting as spring blossoms. Beauty is not a possession of the soul, it is a costume worn briefly by the body, a mask that time inevitably alters. What is truly yours, what cannot be taken by age, illness, or the passing of fashion, is the mind, sharpened by reason, fortified by virtue, and guided by wisdom. The Stoics believed that the highest form of power is self-mastery, and this truth holds no less for a woman than for a man. If beauty can open a door, the mind can build the house, govern the estate, and leave a legacy that outlasts stone. Consider the words of Epictetus, who taught that it is not what happens to us, but how we respond, that defines our character. If the measure of a human being is the control they have over their own thoughts and actions, then a woman who has mastered her mind possesses a power that no society, no prejudice, no injustice can diminish. For too long, women across the centuries were told their role was to please, to be admired, to serve quietly in the shadows of men. But the Stoics would say that the highest calling is not to fit into the role others assign you, but to cultivate the virtues that are within your control: courage, wisdom, justice, and temperance. These virtues, once developed, make the human spirit unshakable, whether it wears a crown or an apron. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Imagine a woman who fills her mind not with the shallow concerns of vanity or gossip, but with the deep hues of knowledge, understanding, and moral clarity. Her beauty will not fade, because it is woven into her character. She will command respect not through the fleeting admiration of strangers but through the enduring trust of those who witness her integrity in action. A beautiful face can turn heads for a moment, but a disciplined mind can turn the course of events for generations. In the ancient world, examples of women who embodied this Stoic spirit were rare, not because women lacked the capacity, but because they were denied the platform. Yet they existed. Musonius Rufus, often called the Roman Socrates, insisted that women should study philosophy just as men did, for virtue was not a male possession. He argued that women were equally capable of reason and moral excellence. In his time, this was a radical assertion, yet it is as logical as it is just. If self-control, rational thought, and moral courage are the highest goods, then they must be available to all who wish to cultivate them, and any society that denies this truth weakens itself. Picture a young woman in a crowded marketplace of ancient Rome. Around her, merchants shout prices, children run between stalls, soldiers march by in armor that glints in the sun. She could be swept up in the chaos, distracted by the noise, tempted by the ornaments and perfumes on display. But she remembers the words of her teacher: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. She straightens her back, focuses on the task at hand, and moves through the crowd with quiet purpose. In that moment, she is freer than the senator who is a slave to public opinion, freer than the merchant bound to his greed, freer even than the emperor if his peace depends on the praise of others. Modern culture still often praises women more for how they look than for how they think. The platforms have changed, from marble forums to digital screens, but the trap is the same. 1,000 images a day whisper to women that their worth is in the mirror, in the perfect photo, in the approval of the crowd. The Stoics would call this an external, and all externals are outside your control. They can be lost in an instant. What is within your control is your reasoned choice, your moral stance, your ability to say no to what diminishes you and yes to what strengthens you. The woman who learns to master this choice holds a form of beauty that no camera can fully capture. There is a quiet rebellion in choosing to value your mind over your appearance. It is not a rejection of beauty. The Stoics did not despise what is pleasing to the senses, but it is a refusal to make it the foundation of your identity. Beauty may accompany you like a companion on the road, but the mind is the road itself, and the road can carry you to places beauty alone cannot reach. Think of Hypatia of Alexandria, who lived centuries after the early Stoics but embodied their principles. She was a mathematician, philosopher, and teacher, respected by men in a male-dominated world not because of her looks, but because of her intellect and courage. She understood that the pursuit of truth was more important than the pursuit of approval, and she paid with her life for that conviction. Yet her name endures not as a symbol of beauty lost, but as a beacon of wisdom that still illuminates the path for others. The Stoics spoke often of the inner citadel, a fortress within the mind that no enemy can breach. For a woman, this citadel is built stone by stone through study, reflection, and the daily practice of virtue. It is strengthened every time she resists being pulled into petty disputes, every time she chooses to act with dignity when insulted, every time she directs her energy toward what is good and just instead of chasing applause. Over time, her citadel becomes so strong that the storms of life cannot shake her. She may be praised or criticized, included or excluded, celebrated or ignored, and yet she remains the same, guided not by the shifting winds of opinion but by the steady compass of her principles. There is a certain radiance in such a woman. It is not the radiance of cosmetics or clothing, but the light that comes from within when a person lives in alignment with their values. You can see it in her eyes, hear it in her voice, sense it in her presence. She does not compete with others for attention, because she understands that her worth is not a contest. She does not fear aging, because she knows that the mind, unlike the body, can grow more beautiful with each passing year. She does not waste energy on resentment, because she knows that to be consumed by anger is to give your power away. Instead, she directs her strength toward building, creating, and inspiring. The Stoic key to self-mastery, whether you are a woman or a man, is to live according to nature. This does not mean retreating into the wilderness, but living in harmony with the rational and moral order of the universe. For a woman, it means refusing to define herself by measures that are shallow or temporary, and instead seeking the lasting satisfaction that comes from virtue. It means embracing the role of philosopher in her own life, asking daily, what is in my control today? How can I act with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance in this moment? And it means accepting that while she cannot control the way the world sees her, she can always control the way she sees herself. When a woman walks this path, she becomes a force that even the most powerful cannot ignore. She is not swayed by flattery, because she sees through its purpose. She is not broken by insult, because she knows her value does not depend on the opinion of the ignorant. She does not crave the spotlight, because her work is its own reward. And when she speaks with the weight of thought, the clarity of truth, and the calm of one who has mastered herself. This is the woman the Stoics would admire. Not the one whose face launched 1,000 ships, but the one whose mind could chart their course. Not the one who sits silently waiting to be chosen, but the one who chooses her own path with reason and resolve. Not the one who seeks to be adorned, but the one who adorns the world with her wisdom. Beauty may be admired, but wisdom is remembered. And in the end, to be remembered for the strength of your mind is to leave a mark no wrinkle can erase, no season can fade, no critic can tarnish. So when you hear the world telling women to chase beauty above all else, remember that the Stoic path points in another direction. It says, silence the noise, guard your mind, and master yourself. For in self-mastery lies the truest power a woman can wield. A power that outlasts beauty, that outshines wealth, and that cannot be taken away.